want to know who are you, and how did this even come about? First of all, who is Lemmy Plummer?
Yeah, who is Lemmy Plummer? Wow. I am obviously the founder and CEO of Zeus, but I'm a creative. I started off, excuse me, in the business. Need some water. Give me 2 seconds.
That's Envy's water, by the way.
Shoot.
Water.
Okay. I can't
His brand.
You acting nervous like Zeus was started with drug money or something, bro. Like, relax. Okay.
No. So my parents owned a bunch of TV stations, so I kind of grew up in the business.
Okay.
So they came out around the same time as Bob Johnson when he launched BET. They just happened to launch a bunch of religious stations. So we had a bunch of networks in Michigan and New Orleans and several other places. So I kind of grew up in the business. I learned a lot about television, and just wanted to kind of expand my brand outside of religious television and really
You do that.
What's up? Much love and respect to everyone watching. So as we heard him say, this is the owner of the Zeus Network, and he seems like a very intelligent person, and he seems very well spoken. And we also heard him say that he grew up in a 2-parent household and that his parents owned some television stations. So I think it's safe to say that he probably grew up, with more privilege than most of us grew up. And, that's a very good thing as well. But even with all those opportunities and chances that he had, we see that he still managed a way to create a television network that promotes negativity and destruction to his own people. And I heard him say in the interview that they have at least 1 million subscribers, so I would assume it's more than that. But I think we all pretty much know that the majority of people watching that is so-called black people and Hispanic people, because for the most part, that's who's on the shows. So I'm gonna just show a clip real quick just so you can get a better idea of what I'm talking about. Yeah, so we all seen how embarrassing that was. I mean, they got grown women up there saying that ABC is like their little kids. And don't get me wrong, these women are making their own choices, but it's still a shame that some of our people are so quick to exploit our own people. So, I mean, what's really the difference between somebody like Lemmy Plummer and some of these rappers or some of these drug dealers? I mean, he literally is still promoting death and destruction and dysfunction to millions of people. So in my opinion, he's no different than a lot of these guys who sold out. I mean, he literally named his company after a false Greek god named Zeus, just in case anyone doesn't know who he is.
In ancient Greek mythology, a pantheon of powerful gods controlled the universe. Their leader was Zeus, god of the sky and protector of gods and men.
Yeah, so when I see a so-called black man who's willing to name his company after a false Greek god, that pretty much lets me know that that man is willing to do anything for money and fame. And we got to keep in mind that the devil gives blessings as well. So just because someone is rich and famous, or they may be popular in the eyes of the world, that does not mean that the God of the Bible is giving that person those blessings, because Satan rewards people for doing evil. And of course, I can't sit here and say that every show on there is bad, but I know, some of the main ones that he has, I know it promotes violence. I see a lot of homosexuality in there, promotes drama, promotes pretty much just dysfunction to our people. And we know that these shows are very influential, and it has an impact on society, especially on the youth. So, I mean, we just always got to keep in mind that this stuff is not just entertainment. And, of course, we can't forget some of the most popular people on the network right now, which is Chrisean Rock and Blueface.
Come on, girl. Is this live or something? So are you pregnant? Girl, I don't know.
If you brought a baby into the world, how do you think
Your lifestyle
life
is
would
gonna
change
change.
positively? slow down on the drinking?
Cause me, I feel like I'm fighting demons for real.
Now, how's your relationship with your mother and father?
If they were dead, it would be no different from what they are right now. Like, that's what hurts.
Do you feel like most of the toxicity is him?
For sure.
Okay.
We're not scared to show y'all how ugly we are. We start really fuck with each other probably like a week ago, real serious. Because if you was just started off as my nigga, I would have never fucked with y'all.
Dealt with all of it. How did your two fall out?
I want to be transparent as fuck in my life and with my fans. I like y'all. I'm answering everything.
Like, I'm chilling, right?
I'm not saying I need nobody's permission, but I'm not gonna leave no crip ass nigga when we're really like tied in, locked in together. He don't want me to leave, I don't want to leave because we really love each other. But the fact that we can't be mature enough to respect each other and get through shit without the cameras, then I don't know, that's the part I don't get. Like,
Yeah, so one of the things she's confused about is she's saying that pretty much that they love each other, they just don't respect each other. And in my opinion, you cannot truly love someone if you don't respect them. So I mean, just for her to say something like that, it kind of gives us an idea of how toxic the relationship is, which I mean we pretty much already know because it's everywhere. You see them getting into arguments and getting into different things. So I can never cover their whole situation because there's always something new popping up, and most of us know by now if you're a certain age you may have either been in a toxic relationship at one point or you know someone who has, so you know that it's constant drama, it's constant confusion, and really it's soul ties from people who are broken and they haven't healed yet, which of course the Most High is the only one who can heal us from those type of things. But I will say this, in the previous clips I seen of her, like when she was running track and pretty much before she started dealing with Blueface, she seemed like a totally different person. Like her energy was positive, and even the way she looked, it was just very different. But we see now she's looking a lot different because her energy is off, and she's getting involved in Hollywood. So most of us already know how that goes. Hollywood pretty much is going to drain you. It's going to make you become a different person because that's how Satan is. He's gonna destroy you. That's his mission. So a lot of times we might think something is good for us, but it's not. Because if I'm not mistaken, Blueface was a college athlete and he had a chance to play sports. I mean, he had a scholarship if I'm not mistaken, but he said he got homesick and he had to go back home, which that's not a masculine trait anyway. If you're a man, you have to leave home. That's part of being a man. He went back home and he thought he found something good because he started his rap career, but that's how the devil will set you up. And the same for her. She was doing track, and I think she was on some type of show. I don't know, how far she was trying to take it, but the point is their lives could have went two completely different ways, but they chose certain things. They wanted money and fame, and a lot of times that leads to destruction. And most of us probably already know this as well if you've lived long enough, but there are certain people on this earth that are just not good for us. So it doesn't mean that necessarily she's a bad person or that he's a bad person, but they bring out the worst in each other. And that's when you find some of the most toxic relationships, when you got people that are just feeding off each other's negativity. Because I mean, Blueface actually seems like a pretty laid back dude, and then I seen interviews of her where she's interacting with other people and even other men, and she's respectful and positive, and she has a whole different energy than when she's around Blueface. So that's just a part of the whole toxic relationship dynamic. But one thing we should all learn from it is that if you're in that type of situation, or somebody in that type of situation, you gotta get out of it. But all you can do is encourage somebody else to get out of it, but you can't force anybody to do anything, of course. But it should be a lesson to all of us that these situations are real, and sometimes they can turn deadly. A lot of us already know that, but it's definitely not a joke, and it's definitely not something that is entertaining, really. Even though a lot of us watch it, they're really destroying themselves. And I mean, I can go on and on about that situation, but I really just wish the best for them because, they need spiritual help. They need to be healed. And of course, I'm not saying that to talk down on them. I mean, we all need spiritual help. We all have our own issues. It's just that they decide to record those and let the world see because you know, they're pretty much making money off of it. But in the long run, it's not gonna be a good look for them. And also, you know, the drugs and the alcohol is a big problem with both of them. I don't know what all they're on. I know that at one point, Chrisean was drinking a lot, but hopefully she's off of that. Well, if she's pregnant, she has to be off of that now. But, you know, that's a big issue that we have in our community. I made a video a while back about that as well, about the pain of drug and alcohol addiction, because it's very real and it's destroying a lot of our people. So yeah, I pretty much said all that just to bring it back to Lemmy Plummer, because he's the one who owns the Zeus Network, and he's the one who's at least partially responsible for giving Chrisean Rock and Blueface a show. And I know they were already somewhat popular before that, but the show has definitely made them even more popular. And they probably feel as though they have to be even more toxic and do certain things so they can continue to make content and they can get the ratings up. I mean, we pretty much know how that cycle goes. But it's definitely not just entertainment. I mean, these shows have a serious impact on our society, and especially on our youth. They may look at a couple like Chrisean Rock and Blueface, and they may think that those are normal interactions that so-called black men and women are supposed to have with each other, and that's not the truth. The way they're acting towards each other is the complete opposite of normal. And I mean, it's really a shame, because we see somebody like Lemmy Plummer, who seems like he has the potential to do great things, but he wants to put out this type of content. And we heard him say himself that he grew up in a 2-parent household and that his parents own some television stations. So we can assume that they grew up pretty comfortably, and we could assume that they had more money than average people. So I find it disturbing that he decides to put out this type of content. And, you know, of course, I don't know how he actually grew up. I'm just going off the things that he has said. But at the end of the day, we don't really know any of these people. I mean, according to him, this is the same guy who was partially responsible for putting out the Preachers of LA TV show. And most of us know what that was about.
My name is Bishop Ron Gibson.
I'm Bishop Clarence D. McClendon. My name is Dietrich Haddon.
I'm Wayne Chaney.
My name is Jay Haslip.
My name is Noel Jones.
The Bible says that I wish above all things that you would prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. I believe that.
P. Diddy, Jay-Z, they're not the only ones who should be driving Ferraris and living in large houses.
The Bible says that those who sow among us should reap from us. And that's implying that the preacher is to be taken care of.
I like being successful.
Security is a necessary part of what we do.
Being a pastor is very dangerous because you have to be perfect at all times.
People put you up on a pedestal that you can't live on. Pastors are people just like everybody else.
It's all about truth for me from this point on. The truth about my baby out of wedlock, the truth about my divorce, it happened. There's nothing I can do about that. I'm a pastor, but at the end of the day, I'm a man.
Does it ever get to a place where it's really not about love, but it's about winning?
Winning what? Winning a man or a relationship?
No, winning me. Winning me.
You're not a prize.
I am a prize.
That's right.
Maybe I don't love you as much as you love me.
Maybe you don't. And maybe I don't love you as much as you think I love you.
So yeah, most of us already know that that show is not about real men of God. So I mean, it seems to me that Lemmy Plummer is someone who is very talented, but seems like he can be easily compromised, and he's willing to put out certain content even if it's negative, as long as he's getting paid for it. And a lot of times on this channel I like to talk about the importance of black fathers, so we're gonna see a little clip about him and his father.
How do your parents feel about your network?
Oh man, that first of all, I love my family. We're a very close family. It's 5 of us. My siblings, my brother LJ, we work together. My sister, my brother-in-law, we all work together. It's like kind of a family business, except for my parents. They're not involved. My brother Lauren and L'Oreal, I love them. They're all great, and they're very supportive of me. My mom is, you know, she's supportive. You know, she does. You know, my dad is totally against the Zeus Network.
All that secular stuff you out here doing.
Basically, you know.
So yeah, I think his father is correct in what he said, and I think he's trying to help stop his son from going down the wrong direction. But of course, we have to make our own choices. And I didn't do too much research on his parents. I didn't want to make this video about them. As far as Lemmy Plummer said, you know, he said his dad is a pastor, if I'm not mistaken, and he said they live in Israel now. So I hope that his dad is a real man of God. So I'm gonna read this verse real quick. This is Amos chapter 3 verse 3, and this applies for the Chrisean Rock and Blueface situation. This also applies for the Lemmy Plummer situation. It really applies to all of us. And the verse goes, "Can two walk together except they be agreed?" So of course the Bible is always accurate, and you know, if you're in a toxic relationship, it's because you agreed to be in one. If you're around negative friends, it's because you agreed to be around them. And as far as the situation with Lemmy Plummer, he said, you know, he was around Diddy and he's around all these celebrities, and that's because that's what he's agreeing to. But I hope he understands that a lot of those people are devils. They sold their soul, and if you're around them, then you're on the same team as them. So I just hope he understands how serious this is, because if you're on the same team as them, you're going to receive the same judgment as them. And the devil, he is ruthless, he doesn't play fair, and he wants souls. That's what he's in it for. So we can't play both sides. You're either on the side of the Most High or you're on the side of the devil. And let me say, this video is meant to be no disrespect to him. I have no actual proof that he sold out. I just know that he's going down the wrong direction, the type of content that he's putting out and the people that he's hanging around. But that's on him. He's a grown man. Like I said, he seems to be very talented. He still has time to turn it around, and maybe he can put out more positive content. But again, that's on him. I mean, the main reason I'm putting these videos out is for our people to wake up, and for whoever wants to come to the truth, so they can, you know, start seeing the deception and the lies that's been put out there. Because I mean, at the end of the day, everything is spiritual. This is a spiritual warfare. And again, this video is meant to be no disrespect to him or his family, but I'm just here to speak the truth. I'm gonna pretty much wrap it up there. And at the end of the day, the Lord is always in control, and he will always have the final word. I'm out. Peace.